Welcome to Ecommerce Revamped, where we break down the hottest trends, insider tips, and strategies shaping the future of e-commerce. Powered by Miva, the engine behind seamless online stores. Now here's your host, Rob Stanley.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Ecommerce Revamped. I'm Rob Stanley, your host, and today I've got a good one for you. So I've been in this industry a long time. This particular person's been in the industry a long time. And I think one of the things that makes us really special bringing this person on is that they've stayed current and relevant when it comes to e-commerce. And I try to do the same thing. I'm always learning about AI and different methods and things we can do. And that is something that definitely has happened with this person. So I've got Kevin King on today, and we're going to be talking about future-proof your e-commerce for lasting growth. Let's bring Kevin into the studio. Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
I'm good. So, Rob, what are you saying? We're old?
We are old.
We're old?
We are definitely old. But
speak for yourself. I'm just turned 30. I mean, come on, man.
Absolutely. So, the good thing is about being old, Kevin, is we have experience. And one of the things I've actually found is a lot of things that were old are becoming new again, just maybe with a different twist, right? So I think I'm going to start that off with, Kevin, what is something you saw that was maybe an older type of method of, let's say, for e-commerce sellers that now is come back around, but maybe has an AI twist or a more modern approach?
Yeah, there's nothing new. I mean, human psychology has not changed since caveman times. The only thing new is the technology. So I always see these young 20-year-olds like, oh, direct mail is the hot new thing. You should send a postcard to your customers. I'm like, guys, come on. This is how we did it before the internet. And yes, it still works. But they think it's a hot new shiny object. It happens across multiple things. I mean, How to Win Friends and Influence People was written over 100 years ago. And all the top books of Think and Grow Rich was over 100 years ago. All those principles and all that psychology still applies today. Some of the great minds of advertising in the 50s, Ogilvy and all those guys, 40s and 50s, Ad Men, the TV series was based on them. All that stuff still applies today. Just the technology and the delivery mechanisms are different. You have social media instead of a newspaper ad, or you have something else instead of you have a VSL instead of a direct mail, a long direct mail letter that's 7 pages long. It hasn't changed, but what's coming back around is what I'm seeing a lot is a human touch. I mean, we probably will get to some of this, how to AI to future-proof your business, but in a world where everything's becoming artificial and AI and everything, people are longing for that human touch. And that's why you guys are doing the event that you do. And events are tough. I mean, getting people to get out of their house and go to an event. Some people are like, I'll just watch this on YouTube. I'll just listen to the podcast. I don't need to go to the event. But no, I think you're going to start seeing more people flip their mindset and like, I actually need to go to an event because I need to be around real humans and real people. And some of this I could learn, but just hanging around with them at the bar, or having lunch with them or whatever. And I think that's a big thing that you're going to start seeing is more of that. And that goes back to also, like I say, in direct mail and sending out postcards. Postcards still work. And, some people call it junk mail, but postcard is actually cheaper than a Facebook ad. I mean, if you're paying $1 a click to get a Facebook ad, and you're converting, 5% of the clicks, which would be considered very good for Facebook, that means you're paying $100 to get 5 people to click. Well, you can send out 100 postcards for 60, 70 cents to actually and get 10 or 20 clicks. That's even highly targeted of a list that you control. All 100 people are going to see that. If you advertise on Facebook and you've got your own built-in audience of 1,000 people that have joined your group, or they've liked your page, or they've followed you, there's no guarantee that 100 people are going to see your post. Maybe 20 of them will see it. And if those people interact, then Facebook shows it to 50 more. If they still interact, then it goes on out. And you have no idea who's going to see it. If I send 1,000 postcards, 1,000 that I know are my fans or my audience, 1,000 people are going to see it. Now, they may be sorting it over the trash can, and they may, but if it's a postcard done well, and you do it right, it'll stop them at least, just like stopping the scroll. It's the same concept of stopping the scroll. and you can convert a lot of people because there's not as much competition in the mailbox. When I go to get my mail, there's a few bills and a couple magazines, and that's it. I'm not distracted. I'm looking at this in my hand. I'm not distracted by all these other freaking bells and whistles and flashing lights and shit that you are online. So that's where a lot of people, what's old is not new again. What's old is working again, or something to that effect is a better saying. And it kind of like, I guess back to our original thing. Yeah, we're old because we knew this was what we did 30 years ago, and everybody else thinks it's the new thing. And yeah, I'm seeing a lot of that.
Absolutely. And I'm going to bring up one that is my favorite to talk to you about because you have done such a great job at it. And I did this in the past, and that's newsletter, sending out like newsletters. And man, you're killing it with the newsletter. Kevin, I've watched courses on Kevin talking about newsletters. I fixed my old company's newsletter. Kevin, so why are those newsletters working? Why are they coming back around?
Yeah, when I started my newsletter, August 14th of 2023. So it's about a year and a half now, at the time of this recording. And my wife at the time was like, "Why are you doing a newsletter? Nobody checks email. Everybody's on social. Nobody read." I was like, "No, email is still checked by virtually 4 billion people on Earth. They may get a lot of spam. It may be going to promo. They may only check it once a day or once a week. They're checking it. And if you don't own your customer, you don't own anything. Everything that you're doing on Facebook is or Instagram or TikTok Shop or whatever, you're on rented space. You could build up an audience of 100,000 followers, and overnight that can be taken away. And you don't know who they are. You have no way to reach them. If you have them on your list, in the old days, it was a mailing list. It's actually their physical address. And then it became SMS for telemarketing, and you wanted their phone number. That kind of aggravates people. But an email is the best way because people rarely change their email address. They may have multiple email addresses for different things, but they rarely. I have the same email address from 30 years ago, and they rarely change it. Versus moving, they move houses, move apartments, and there's actually change of address email services that will actually update the email using AI to the new email if one's not working. But if you have that email address, you have permission, especially if they've given you permission and signed up for a newsletter, you have a way to actually market to them on your cadence, and you know that a certain number of people are going to send it. If I send out 20,000 newsletters, I know my open rate on average is 45 to 50%. And that doesn't mean everybody read everything in there, but at least they opened it and scrolled through it. I know that I'm going to reach almost 10,000 people every time I send out a newsletter. If I take a Facebook ad out and I take it to my Facebook group that has the same 20,000 people in it, and I say, here's a post. We have come to the MIVA conference. It's happening next week. Tickets on sale, $100 off early bird. Out of those 20,000, maybe 1,000, maybe 500 will ever see that, ever see it. And out of those, very few will pay attention. So the newsletter actually gets attention. And actually, in today's world, back to what I said, where people want human touch, communities are the hot new thing. To future-proof your business, you need to build communities of real humans. And a community is not an audience. People get those two things mixed up, where an audience is your followers. A community is where it exists with or without you. So if Rob, you're the leader and you create the MIVA community, if that community, if it's a Slack channel or a Facebook group or a WhatsApp or whatever it may be, a school, whatever, I think you should actually do it not on school, not on Slack. I think you should do it where most people are, like WhatsApp, or they're already on Meta. You choose one of those platforms, but whatever you choose, if it requires you to be in there for it to have engagement, it's an audience, it's not a community. But if it can go on its own, you look at, like, I know you're in from your old jobs, you're in the BDSS WhatsApp. That thing runs without me posting or not. I post some ads and marketing stuff in there from time to time, but I don't participate in a lot of conversations. I don't need to. People are back and forth with each other. That's a community. Those are hard to build and hard. You might have it for a conference and it lasts for a couple of weeks, but to have sustainability after that conference is very, very difficult. And but the best way to do this, to build those, is actually with a newsletter. The newsletter brings people in. The community gets them to stay. And so if you look at what I do with $1 Billion Seller Summit, the newsletter is top of funnel. You asked me at the beginning of this, like, hey, Kevin, what do you want to mention? The only thing I want to mention is $1BillionSellers.com. Because all I want your email address. Once I got your email address and I know you're halfway interested in what I'm talking about, I've got you. And I'll some of you will go away and you don't like what I have to offer. But if I send you a newsletter with your permission, because you signed up for it, every Monday and Thursday, I send out a newsletter. And this is not a marketing email from the company like, hey, we just promoted Rob to the new position. Oh, look, we just announced a new feature. You can now upload 1,000 products instead of 50 products. That's a company announcements. That's not a newsletter by my definition. That's a promotional email. A newsletter is actionable stuff. Here's how you use Miva to actually. Did you know you could do this with Miva, and this will 3x your conversion rate because you can put this picture and add this video, and if you say this in the video and tell them to hit this button, it's going to do this. They're like, oh, that's value. So you constantly add value or news from the industry or whatever, and you keep doing that, and over time, people start to trust you. You've known me from other spaces, and I've spoken I've been on 150, 200 podcasts, different podcasts at least. I've spoken on hundreds of stages. I've done hundreds of webinars. I've in 10 software in the Amazon space. I've 220,000+ people have gone through my course on how to sell on Amazon. I'm recognized at all the Amazon events. People want to take selfies, but I can tell you in the last year and a half, the most impactful thing I've ever done in my professional life on Amazon or e-commerce life is starting that newsletter. It took it a while to get going, about 6 months, but I was consistent. The problem is some people, my trainer started doing one after I saw me doing it. And my friend Elaine and a couple other people started doing it. They don't last. The key is just like podcasts, as you know, most podcasts never make it to 7 episodes. Only like 3% of all podcasts out there ever make it to 7 episodes because people, it's work. It takes time. It takes energy. You got to edit. You got to do this, according to guests. It's work. But once you get that consistency, and it can take 6 months or a year, and that's what happened with my newsletter. I've never missed a Monday or Thursday. People start looking for it. It becomes part of their routine, part of their morning coffee break, or part of their lunch break, or I'm going to save them up and read them on the weekend. And then I had someone tell me the other day, they take my newsletter and they print it out and put it in a binder by category. They categorize it with little tabs and stuff and put it in a binder. And other people just glance through it. They don't read most of it. They just cherry pick it. That's okay. But I got that permission, and then I can turn that into that newsletter. This year will make me over $500,000 in direct revenue, just on affiliate commissions and ads. And that doesn't count me selling to my events or selling to my training or anything else. That's on top of that. And it's a magic machine if you do it right. And everybody should be doing it. But the problem is, as you know, at one of the events I was at where I tore apart your previous company's newsletter on stage, and people are like, whoa, they're sponsoring the event and you're basically trashing them. I'm like, yeah, I need to, because it sucked. And most suck. And there's a lot of people, it was a shiny object a year ago, so a lot of people got into it. There's a lot of cool tools. And it's not my first time in newsletters. 20 years ago, around 1998 to 2002, roughly, I had a newsletter then. And we had 220,000 people that got it. This is before any of the cool tools that we have now, any of the cool monetization stuff. But that newsletter was aimed at men, and we featured pretty girls, not nudity, not naked stuff or porn, but just pretty girls. So we had a news section that was like, this is before AI or all these RSS feeds and stuff existed. I had 2 guys that their job was to find every story that was written about anything to do with pretty girls. That could be Farrah Fawcett. That could be Vanna White on Wheel of Fortune. It could be Hugh Hefner did something. Anything. It could be the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, whatever it was. And I would pick 5 stories as headlines, almost like a Drudge Report. And then we would put a puzzle, a joke. We would put a photo of somebody. We would put a game, interactive game, and a couple other features on it. And we'd send out an email daily. And you could pick the time of day. We had a cron job that chose the time of day that this thing would go out. And so we would get on Howard Stern sometimes, and it'd blow up our servers. And we grew this, and we leveraged off the back of that 2,000 or 3,000 people into a $30 a month membership. And then other people buying physical products, tons of like calendars and DVDs and trading cards and all kinds of physical products. And it worked really well until Can Spam. Can Spam came out, and all of a sudden, all of our emails started going into spam, and nobody was getting them. So we backed off of it. But then the technology has now evolved, where you have tools like Beehive, and you have all these really cool tools that you can do some pretty amazing stuff and a lot of cool integrations. And so that's another example of what's old is new again. 20 years ago, we were doing it, the hand cranking our ice cream ourselves with salt. And now, you know, we're doing it the Tesla way. It's all automated with robots, basically.
Absolutely.
And so that's where it's going. So sorry, that's a long-winded, answer
No,
to your question, but
that's a great answer. That's a great answer. You know, what basically Kevin's saying, and I love your newsletter, and I am one of those people that kind of pick through it because I'm not fully in the Amazon world anymore. I'm in the e-commerce world. So, but there's a lot of AI stuff in there. There's a lot of tips in there, you know, between Kevin's newsletter, Ritu Java's newsletter. I love it because, you know, it's very AI based. I get a lot of information from there, and I'm in a lot of groups, like Kevin said, and there's a lot of things that pop up in there. And guess who's reading it every morning, skimming through it, looking for what's going on in the industry, what is something new, in, you know, that I could relate to e-commerce, or heck, for me, doing, you know, video editing again, creating content again, you know, how do I stay current? And I think that's what Kevin's getting at. And that's what people need to be doing is, if you want to, you know, future proof, you need to stay current with these things going on, regardless of whether it's an old thing became new. You got to definitely stay up to date on those things.
And you got to do like in the Amazon industry, you know this from your old industry, we're in a fishbowl. All these Amazon sellers, all they do is go to Amazon conferences, Amazon summits, Amazon online things, and they're in this fishbowl. And most of them do not get out of the fishbowl. That's why I added an event called Elevate 360 to my Amazon events, where it's YouTube people, it's Facebook people, it's Google folks, it's mindset, it's entrepreneurs, it's diet. Get outside of the fishbowl of your industry. If you're selling on Viva and you're doing auto parts, and all you do is go to auto parts shows, you're missing the ball. You've got to expand yourself into, especially now AI, but into other genres of marketing. I just had Perry Belcher. Perry Belcher, a lot of you may know, is one of the top copywriters, top marketers alive today. He came to an event I did 2 weeks ago here in Austin called Market Masters. It's a think tank. He just showed up one afternoon, you know, as a guest. He sat in on 2 of the think tanks, and these are people that pay $5,000 to basically have their butt teared apart by experts. So there's 8 experts around the table. The first hour is questions, the second hour is solutions, but they basically spare their soul in their business. All the numbers and everything are like, I need help because this is not working, or I'm trying to expand here, or what should I be doing? And I curate advisors, and it's a magical event. Everybody says it's the best event they've ever been to in any space. And I've done 2 of them now, and each one of them it's crazy, the value. But Perry came, he sat on an Amazon seller from Germany who's doing $10 million a month. I'm sorry, not a month, a year, $10 million a year, selling one SKU, a travel pillow. He was right place, right time, and now he's having some trouble expanding, and some sales are going down. And we came in, and he showed his listings, and we're like, your listings suck, your branding sucks, this sucks. You know, you were just lucky. You got a little review moat or whatever. And Perry, he commented today. I was on a driven mastermind call with him. He had me come on and talk about some Amazon stuff, and he's talking about, yeah, I was blown away. I went to this event, and I was on the panel for this guy that's doing $10 million. And you look at his stuff, he doesn't know anything about marketing. He's just by default there and just lazy. If us marketers in this driven conference that know how to do all this stuff came in here, we could blow this thing up. There's massive opportunity. And it's the same for a lot of you out there, and no matter what industry you're in, whether it's Amazon or auto parts or adult novelties or whatever it is, get outside of that world. And there's massive opportunities for people that aren't lazy or just sticking with the status quo. And that's part of the problem is sometimes some of these companies, they're run by people in their 50s, 60s, 70s who are about to retire. And they're like, everything is good. I don't want to mess up my retirement. We don't need to integrate AI. We don't need to integrate this or that. Everything is good. Let's just keep going to status quo. And those companies are going to go away. AI is, we can talk about that in here in a second, but AI is about to change the entire world upside down.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I'm glad you brought that up because I do want to talk to you about, you know, either AI newsletters you could reference that people can stay up on, or AI tools you're using, let's say, for newsletters, or anything that you think would kind of help people kind of stay up to date or give them an advantage to kind of catch up even.
Well, Ritu's new, if you're in the e-commerce space, especially Amazon, but she covers those. So Ritu Java, who's speaking at your event, her newsletter is really good. AI for e-commerce. I cover a few things, but if you want, the one I follow the most is called Superhuman. I think it's about 1 million people get that. There's several of them out there, but that one I think is the most concise, easiest to read, keeps me up to date on everything. It's called Superhuman. And you should probably Google Superhuman AI, and I don't think the link is superhuman.com. I think it's something else, but that's a really, really good one. But AI is about to change our complete industries. I mean, AI is more and is probably as important as the invention of fire, more important than the invention of the wheel. And most of us have dabbled with AI. I think ChatGPT just crossed 400 million users, but that doesn't mean that's not paid accounts. There's like 10 million paid accounts. So most of these people just dabbling. They're just going on and asking a question like they would Siri. They have no clue. And they're like, oh, that's pretty cool. It just told me the recipe. They have no freaking clue. Or some people in the e-commerce space, like, let me analyze the reviews, or let me do a little bit of research, or help me write my emails. That's all great. Do that. But that's just 1/10 of 1% of what AI is about to do. And combine that with quantum computing. In the next, Tony Robbins just mentioned this actually at a conference I was just at Funnel Hacking Live, and he was speaking. He mentioned this at the beginning. He's like, the next 3 to 5 years, 10 years at the outset, but the next 3 to 5 years is going to change society more than anything that's changed in the last 2,000 years. AI is going to revolutionize everything from selfless cars. Everybody's going to have a robot, to what you can do. Quantum computing is going to put that on steroids. There's this saying that you're going to have one person, $1 billion one-person company. And I don't know, it might be a two-person company. One person might be able to pull it off, but you might need a second or third person. But definitely one person, 10 million, $100 million companies, because what's going to about happen this year is the world of agents. And if you're not paying attention to this in e-commerce, and a lot of you are here in me that are in e-commerce, you're going to be left behind. You don't need to be an expert in AI. You just need to be one step ahead of everybody else. And you need to be paying attention, because agents are about to change everything. Agents, if you don't know what agents are, maybe you've dabbled with something like make.com or some of these automation tools. Those are mostly like if then else in their flow charts. And that's like a rudimentary agent. But these agents in AI are going to be able to think for themselves. So if I'm an e-commerce seller, I'm going to have an agent that its sole job is to find me new product opportunities. It's trained on an LLM, its own little LLM. It's self-contained, working on its own without me having to push buttons. And it's constantly going out there looking at the latest trends on Google, the latest stuff in the industry, monitoring all this massive data. The world's data is out there. And it's going to be massive, and come back and say, oh, this particular, looks like there's going to be a trend for, I don't know, some sort of special rubber on tires for an automotive seller, and it's going to cause these 4 things. You're going to need something to actually fix the problem. It's a special tool that fixes the rubber. But this is the trend, and this rubber, because it's cheaper, and this and that. Then it's going to go to it. It's going to say, I think this is a really good opportunity. It's going to go past that to another agent, and that other agent, little robot. Just picture these as little robots in your side of your computer. It's kind of like, oh, thanks for that idea about this tire. Let me see if this is valid. Let me see how this is doing on Amazon and on Miva and on Shopify and on Walmart and whatever. Oh yeah, there's this one dude, he's crushing it. And he's like the only guy selling it. But on his site, I noticed there's not this extra tool. Maybe you can come in with this tool, and it's gonna like do all this stuff, and then it's gonna pass it to another one and go, oh, we need a way to promote this. Who are the influencers in this space that would be good, that's done posts in the last month that have talked about this, and this? We should reach out to them. And then it's going to go, okay, this makes sense. How much would this thing cost to make? It's going to talk to another agent that's tied into an API to Alibaba, or to some US manufacturer or whatever. And it's going to spit out the specs, create the CAD drawings and everything. This is what we need. This is how we're differentiated. Give me back a price. And its agent's going to come back and it's going to say, oh, this is what it'd be. We can make them in this quantity and this price. Then it's going to pass it on to another one. It's like, okay, how do we launch this thing? How do we write the email campaigns? How do we launch it on Amazon or on Miva or whatever? How do we do, what do we need to tell our customers? It's going to do all that. Then it's going to come to another agent that does, some promotions or fulfillment or whatever its specialty is. And then it's going to come to you, and you're going to wake up in the morning, grab your coffee, and like, what should I do today? Oh, let me look. Oh, my agent farm just said I need to launch this product. Well, I don't know if that's going to work. I want to do a test. That's a good idea. As a human, I think that actually might work. The machines are trained, and this one over here, I'm not so sure. I don't have a gut feeling on that one, but this one, it'll actually work. It's within my budget. Let me hit another button. It goes off to another agent that's spitting off some factory that's making 50 samples for you on 3D printers. And then you have those, and they're coming into your store, they're drop shipped or whatever. You test it. And then within 3 days, because you got all these other agents that already lined up, all the influencers and everything. Holy cow, this is actually something that people want. Let me fire up the other agent that goes to the factory in China or Mexico or US or whatever. Let's make 10,000 of these. And all you're doing is doing a final approval on a button, making little tweaks. And that's where you're going to be. It's not going to happen this year. Not going to happen this year. But 5 years from now, this sounds like some futuristic movie or some science fiction. It's not. It's going to happen faster than you think. Just look at every week there's the AI tools are one up in themselves. And they're one up, first it was open ChatGPT 4.5, and then Grok said, hold on a second, we got Grok 3. It's even better. And then the next one comes out and the next one. And ChatGPT just said this is their last version that's that doesn't think. It's just it's putting things together. It's just building things. But for the next version, 5.0, is going to be actually thinking. It's more like the one that you pay $200 a month for now, where it's going to take you. It's not going to be instant responses. It's going to be like, let me think through this, and let me think through this. And there's some amazing stuff you can do with ChatGPT right now, with creating your own masterminds. I mean, if you're listening to this, here's a tip for you. You asked me for a straight up actionable tip. Go to, if you can afford the $200 version of ChatGPT, do that, or you can do it on some of the free ones, but you're going to get way better results on a version, the deep research versions of GPT or Gemini. You're going to get better results, but you can create in your industry. Choose this, create your own mastermind, your own think tank. So you can go in there and say, look, I'm selling I don't know, pet products on e-commerce, and I'm having some trouble with this and this problem. I need some help and some advice. I want to assemble a mastermind of 5 of the top minds. This is the prompt, basically. Of the top 5 minds in e-commerce that know something about dogs, because I sell dog stuff. Go get whatever the dog whisperer dude is, Caesar. Go get him. Go get. I want the CMO of Procter of Purina. I want Tony Robbins. I want Russell Brunson. I want whatever it is, whatever the group of 5 or 7, and I want them to. Here's my issue. I'm dealing with these issues. Blah 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 blah. My sales are stalled. I'm trying to figure out new products. Whatever it is, I want them to debate among themselves, to take a look at my problem, debate among themselves of what the solution should be. Feel free to ask me questions if you have any questions about it, and ask me the questions to help you in your discussion. Go off and have a discussion, and then please come back to me with some ideas and solutions and any additional questions. And they'll go off, and it'll take you 5 or 10 minutes. They'll talk. You see it talking to each other. Steve Jobs is arguing with Richard Branson or whatever, back and forth, and then they're arguing back and forth. And then it'll come up, okay, we've come to a decision. We think this is what you should do. But we have one question before we make this recommendation. What about X, Y, Z? And you're like, oh, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Okay, give us a second. We're going to go back and rethink this. It'll spit out some amazing stuff if you do this prompting right. You got to do a detailed prompt. But that's invaluable to have all those minds, all that data, the world's data at your fingertips, and to have it argue amongst itself in your particular situation is invaluable. That's something that everybody should be doing right now for whatever situation you're in. And again, garbage in, garbage out. You got to be detailed, and give it prompt, and do it right, and use the right tools. Don't use this R1 from China. Do that, you're going to get some crap. But use the right tools. But it's just going to get even better and better and better.
Absolutely. And this is the reason I wanted you on, because, for instance, I got really lucky coming over to Miva, and one of the reasons Miva has been around since 1997 and still going strong is because we have executives that are investing in AI, investing into these different prompts, these different AI tools. I came in a great spot because we're really headed that way. We don't actually have a giant, massive marketing team. It's actually a small team, but we are all taking advantage of a lot of these AI tools, these agents. We're starting to get involved with agents right now. So that's how it keeps us, that we're able to do a lot more work with a small team, but still make a big impact. And Kevin just did it. So there's your future proofing right there. Literally what Kevin just said is you got to learn some of these things. You got to stay up on some of these AI tools, some of these AI things that are happening, including newsletters to make sure you understand what's going on, what's the latest. But I'm glad you brought up agents, because that is such a hot topic. And that's something that we're working on actually on the back end of Miva right now. But Kevin, that's some great information.
Another hot thing in this same space, though, on AI, before we close it out, is everybody knows about SEO, search engine optimizations, $91 billion industry, and optimizing your blogs and optimizing your website. There's right now one of the most important things you can do, whether you're on Miva, and I don't know if Miva has this as a plugin, and you need it. If you don't, you need a schema maximizer. If you don't have a schema, WordPress, you can just Google this schema, SCHEMA maximizer for WordPress. There's some tools out there that do it. But maximizing the schema on your blogs and on your Miva store, if you're not doing that, you're going to be leaving massive sales on the table, because Perplexity, ChatGPT, OpenAI, a lot of these are using schema. It's to actually index stuff, and more people are starting to use AI to do search. It's very small right now. It's like 2% of the search volume, but Google has gone from 96% percentile search to 89% search in 1 year. They've gone down, and a lot of it's migrating off to Amazon, it's migrating off to TikTok, but a lot of it's going to go into AI. And it's not just that; it's also, look at what Alexa or Amazon just put out with Alexa Plus. Voice search is massive, going to be massive. If you look at the stats, people our age, only like 2 or 3% of us use actually a voice search to talk into our computer, find me whatever. But the younger generation, 18 to 34, 70% do. And it's a different way of speaking, a different way of optimizing, and you got to optimize for natural language. If you're not doing that with your listing, with your blogs, with your website, you're going to be missing off some major future opportunities. And then if you're not optimizing for the AIs, they call it, there's a new industry popping up called AEO, which is basically optimization, AI optimization. And if you're not creating stuff to sell to the AI bots, whether you're selling on Amazon, there's Cosmo and Rufus and now Alexa Plus. If you're not selling to the Perplexities and OpenAIs and Genesis and Geminis and Groks and stuff that are indexing your website, your e-commerce stuff and your blogs, you're going to get left behind. Right now, you got to kind of ride this like line between the two of them, but it's going to become more and more AI. And if you're not optimized to sell to the AI first, and it's a change of thought. A lot of us are selling to keywords. We've been doing Google ads, or we've been doing Amazon ads or whatever, and we're aimed at keywords. Now it's going to become more search intent and more avatars that you need to be. And that's what the AI, and it's very good because the AI has all this data, and we've been able to control it by SEO, like gaming the system. On Amazon, the ways from your old world, we game the system with keywords and use tools like Data Dive and Helium 10, Jungle Scout, where are the opportunities, and slide in there. A lot of that's going to go away because the AI has all this massive data, and everybody's search results are going to be different, not just because they live in a different city like they are sometimes now, based on inventory levels or whatever, but they're going to be different because they know everything about you or what you're doing, and they're going to customize it for what it thinks is best. And if you're not optimizing towards avatars and you're just trying to get keywords, you're going to be leaving a lot of money on the table.
Yeah, absolutely. You hit it on the head, Kevin, and that's a great segue to kind of shift over, because I do want to give everybody, I want to give you a plug, and I want to give a few others a plug. So a few things we did cover here for those that are listening. For those that are watching, go down in the detail section below, and I'll have a bunch of these things already listed. Take a look at Kevin King's newsletter, which you could just head on over to billiondollarsellers.com. I'm putting it up on the screen for those listening, billiondollarsellers.com with sellers with an S on the end. So head on over to billiondollarsellers.com. You can check out what Kevin's doing, what's current, his newsletter. There's a lot of information over there. And then we were talking earlier about Ritu Java. So RITUJAVA. I just had Ritu on a couple episodes ago. You can check out that episode. And she does talk about her newsletter there. And of course, I'll have a link down below. And then human AI or human, I'll have to take a look at that, Kevin. That's new to me.
Superhuman.
Yeah. I'll take a look at that. That is super cool. But yeah, Kevin, thank you so much for being on. It's always a pleasure. It's crazy. I probably only get you on once a year, but every time you're on, it's absolutely amazing talking with you. Kevin, I've had tons of conversation. I love that you brought up the whole networking thing, the human networking. You and I just did that a few weeks ago in Vegas, just kind of catching up, and we're talking work, hanging out and drinking, and just like, just intensely talking too, and just catching up on things. And I love listening to Kevin speak. He's always got information It's always educational. It's always learning. I'm always learning. The superhuman thing, that was new to me. So I'm going to definitely go research that and look that up. Kevin, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, everybody, please go check out billiondollarsellers.com. And Kevin, I'll see you on the next episode.
Take care, man. Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in to E-Commerce Revamped. Ready to take your e-commerce business to the next level? Visit Miva.com for the tools to build seamless online stores and unforgettable customer experiences. Until next time, keep your carts full and your customers happy.